The Legend of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Part 1, Chapter 45, Fighting, written and performed by Joseph Chambers. Whilst Raphael seemed to have no trouble clinging acrobatically to this most bizarre of locations, April quickly lost her grip, and Raph had to hold her in place with one arm before she jumped down, realising she could not possibly stay up there, landing awkwardly onto the floor of the factory corridor below. April then quickly ducked into a room, praying it was empty. It was not. Sat in a black leather office chair was a large woman in her mid-30s with brunette hair tied in a ponytail and wearing a black pinstriped business suit of a black jacket and skirt with a magenta blouse. The woman faced away from April and appeared to be examining a bank of CCTV screens that displayed footage from all across the factory and its surrounding grounds. The woman appeared to have, on a large central screen, footage of Leonardo threatening a large crowd of workers and slowly being approached by ninja guards, having been found moments earlier. This was not the most worrying image, however. On one of the smaller screens was the image of multiple caged animals of various sizes, colours and breeds. They looked half-starved, and some were limping or coated in congealed blood, vomit and excrement. Then April became aware that although she had been in the room for all of a full minute, staring horrified at the yapping and pained animals, the woman in the chair had failed to notice her presence. April, on further inspection, observed she was wearing headphones and tapping her foot, so probably listening to music. April carefully slipped her phone out of her pocket and switched on the camera setting. She was about to take a photo of the deprived creatures on the screen in front of her before she felt something snatch the phone out of her hand.
"Do you really think that would work?"
Raph whispered. "Why are you stopping me?" April whispered back, trying to grab her phone but failing due to her comparatively poor reflexes. The woman in the office chair was half mumbling, half singing, "Every single day, every word you say, every game you play, every night you stay, I'll be watching you."
Even if someone believes these photos ain't fake and they slide past the fact that we broke in, this is TCRI. The place has ninjas and glowy chemicals and is probably not working inside the law, so would not bat an eyelid about silencing us before we get a chance to say anything.
April let her arm fall to her side. "Promise me we will save those animals by ourselves then, as there is no way I'm leaving any of them here to suffer like that." If Raph had answered, it was drowned out by the shrill screaming of the woman who had just turned around having taken her headphones off and was staring in shock at the girl and turtle before her. Raph lunged at the woman and April had to back away to avoid being whacked in the face by flailing limbs. Raph whipped out his sais from his belt and caught the woman's hand between the left yoku and centre prong as it darted towards a panic button on the control console, thrusting her arm upwards and throwing her off balance. Raph then pushed her back into the bank of screens, resulting in several of the glass televisions smashing and some producing sparks as their images died.
"You're gonna let us out of here, and you're not gonna tell anyone else about this, or else I'll leave you worse looking than I do, understand?"
Raph spat. The woman nodded and Raph let her go, resulting in her slumping to the floor in defeat and fluttering out of consciousness with shock. Raph then kicked the unit on top of which the panic button was located, so it smashed into fragmented metal and plastic in a display of sparks and flashing before muttering,
"Come on, April, we got a lot of work to do."
As Raph and April carried on with their search of the building, the alarms had switched off and all the guards appeared to be dealing with the three other intruders. At the north entrance of the factory, Leonardo had been very efficient at holding off the guards, possibly because he was channeling his anger at his brothers for not following his plan into aggressive power, which flowed through every offensive and defensive move he used. His turtle-like appearance and general skill level left each ninja guard very reluctant to take him on. As a result, they were slower and hesitant to make a move. One particular ninja did prove a bit of a challenge when he too had similar greatness with a pair of katana swords. He was not dressed like the other ninjas, and instead was wearing a sky blue vest and dark blue jeans. He was also not wearing a helmet, and instead wore his real face with pride. He had a strong-looking jawline and a very symmetrical head, apart from his eyes, of which one was green and one was brown. He was very muscular and had long brown hair down to his waist, as well as a full beard, which made him look a little like a stereotypical depiction of a Roman god. He had approached Leonardo with great arrogance in his swagger-like walk, as if he saw himself above his fellow ninja's station. He brandished his swords not like a professional, but rather like an uppity dancer. Leonardo was not sure if this was just how he liked to perform his moves or whether it was meant to be a distraction. Then he realised by thinking this he was becoming distracted and was sent flying a few feet sideways by a powerful and unexpected kick the ninja had dealt him by jumping at least 2 meters forward and roundhousing him on his left side. Leo staggered upwards in astonishment and withdrew one of his katanas from its scabbard, ready to leap into action. The other ninja raised one sword above his head, preparing to slice Leonardo right down the middle. Leo dived to the left, forward rolled, and tried to slice the ninja's legs. However, the man jumped over the blade with lightning speed reflexes and kicked Leo under the chin with the end of his boot. Leo once again struggled up from the floor, the unsatisfyingly metallic taste of his own blood filling his mouth. All the other guards watched in anticipation, not daring to interfere and unconsciously creating an unbroken circle for the combatants to compete in. Leonardo even heard some of the guards and workers cheering the ninja on by name. They were yelling and jeering things like, "Get him, Chris!" and "Come on, Bradford, show him who's boss!" Both with one sword drawn each, the two enemy ninjas glowered at each other before running at and matching each other's moves. When one would swing their sword diagonally from 2 to 8 o'clock, the other would meet them perpendicularly in mid-air with an almighty clang.